Hmm. Hi, everyone. This is Kim here, and I want to welcome you to the video one on our five-part free series about grieving. This one is It's a Time for Change, and indeed it is. The the old way that we've been taught to grieve was to um, go to a support group. That'll help. Okay, so I went and I sat around, I attended, I think, the whole 6 weeks. And I'll personally tell you that, when you walk in there and you feel like you're grieving, you're not sure what's going on. Um, and so you go in there, and I'll just say it was my mom. Okay. And I went to the support group for my mom. And I noticed how certain people were comparing each other's grief, and they would say things in these support groups that kind of blew my mind. Well, how long ago did your husband die? Oh, it's been 10 years. 10 years? Well, you should be over it by now. And so I kind of started picking up, and getting afraid to even share because I thought maybe they're going to attack me, and tell me how I need to feel and to get over it. And so I was kind of reluctant to, you know, rip my chest open and show people what's in there because it was a lot. It was a lot more than my mom's death. I think she was just basically the final straw that broke the camel's back. Because during her time, what I was going through was ending a 33-year divorce. I had a kid that was over in Iraq, her and her fiance. I had another son-in-law that was getting deployed to Afghanistan. I had my dog of 15 years had died. Um, watching your marriage end after 33 years due to an affair with a girl that was half my age, and your kids are leaving home, the house is getting empty, you see the imminence of what's ahead of you, and you feel very unequipped to face it. I'm in my 50s. I'm going to be single. Who's going to want an old hag like me? These are the thoughts that are in your head because somebody put them there. You got videotapes playing all the time. And I think I've told a story to some of y'all here. There was a little boy who, he got labeled. And so I was keeping kids after school at my house. And so we broke out the pin, the tail, and the donkey. And I told him, I said, you know what? I don't want any of y'all to feel like, you know, you're stupid or dumb or whatever has been spoken over you. So let's just do this. You don't have to say who said it, but everything anybody has ever made you feel or said about you, whether you're stupid, you're dumb, you're lazy, you'll never amount to, you know, why can't you be like your sister, the comparisons and stuff like that. I want you to write it down on a tail and go stick it on that donkey. And I had probably 8 in the room when we did this. And the sad part about it was that donkey was almost completely covered because they got to write as much as they wanted, whatever came to their minds. I said, okay, go get your tails. So they went and got their tails. And I said, now flip it over. If it says you are ugly, if you're a boy, I want you to write, I am handsome. If you're a girl, I want you to write, I am beautiful. If they said you were stupid, you write, I am smart. And we just, we went through the process of letting the kids know that you don't have to bear that label. So I noticed this time when they walked up, their shoulders weren't slumped, their heads weren't down, they didn't, reluctantly pin their tail. When they replaced the labels with the positives, I'm telling you, it was a whole new kid. Those heads were up, those shoulders were back, they were standing tall, they were proud, they were smiling, their confidence was it's like instantly restored. And I just wonder how many of us have gone around with those labels that we never turned around. and we still believe lies that people spoke over us, because that's grief. Somebody told you you were stupid or ugly or fat or whatever. They took something from you. They took your confidence, your self-esteem, who you really are. You're not any of those things, and neither were those kids, but there's still a little kid in all of us. So the point I want to make is we're going to change it all in this program. Some of you have asked questions, I don't understand this recovery word in front, the grief recovery. What is that? Well, let's just say, um, somebody who has an addiction problem, and that recovery programs can help them, but they have to be ready. Because you can drag an addict to a meeting, and if they're not ready, or the court can appoint them to go to AA or NA or something, and if they're not ready, you know what? They're not going to get anything out of it. So this works the same way. I've had a lot of people refer people. I got a friend who's lost, their wife or their husband or their child. And I'm always kind of reluctant for referrals because I think about that addict being drugged to the meeting. And I think that's got to be their choice. I appreciate the referrals, believe me, but that person has to be ready. And if they're not ready, because this is an action-based program, this isn't a sit around the support group, cry, compare, feel worse than you did when you walked in kind of thing. It's different, but it works. Kent State University did a study on the different variety of grief care. Therapy was included, grief support groups, grief share, you name it. If you've heard of it, they studied it. And this method, the grief recovery method, was rated 99.9% effective. And I'm kind of proud of that because I put a lot of time and energy in taking care of my heart, getting out of my head. The person who led the groups that I was in, said they're going to take me about 12 inches. We're going to get out of your head and we're going to go into your heart. We're going to look at what's in here. So that's what we're packing. We all start out as children. We stuff our little hearts in our little pockets, and then, college and into our 30s, we're backpacking it. And then, 40s and 50s, we turn around and dang, we got a U-Haul trailer full of butt hurts, all boxed up, and we've never dealt with it. So this is a little bit like dealing with life, so to speak. And the older you are, the harder it is to unpack those U-Hauls. If you're carrying around a backpack, you'll blow right through it. But if you're old like me, pushing 60, and you got a U-Haul back there, it's worth it. Believe me, it's worth it because you still got some time in front of you, and it changes. You're not being drugged down by what you're pulling back there. So I want you to kind of think too, before we move on to the next video. I want you to be thinking about what were you taught? Were you told not to feel bad? Did your parents say, don't cry, it'll be okay, just give it time? Were you offered cookies and cupcakes and pies to feel better? Were you told, when your fish died or your dog died, don't worry, we'll get you another one. We'll just replace it. Your bike got stolen, we'll replace it. We'll get you a new bike. Just think about stuff like that, because this is going to walk us through what recovery is about and what we've been taught and why it's all wrong. So, and what it's also going to do, it's going to allow you to, let's just say this, I'll give you a scenario. Let's just say that you wanted to paint your room. So what do you need? You need paintbrushes and paint rollers and little pans to pour the paint. You need tape, you need drop cloths, stuff like that. So from my experience, based on going into support groups and stuff like that, I left feeling like they handed me a screwdriver to paint a room with. I didn't feel any better. I didn't get anything resolved in support groups. Now, they do work for some people, And I've even hosted them myself. And you know what broke my heart the most is when I had a group of widows and I would hear one lady would speak and she would tell me how devastated she was and how she couldn't breathe and how it took all of her energy, just to shower. She was angry at God. She didn't have any friends. She was depressed. She was on, medication for depression. She had anxiety. She was on anti-anxiety medication. She was, seeing a therapist. And I asked her, I'm so sorry. Or I told her, I said, I'm so sorry you're going through this. May I ask, when did he pass away? She said, oh, honey, it's been 27 years ago. And I thought about that for months. I thought, my God, it's like she's being held captive in her own sorrow. For 27 years, it's taking her to paint that room with a screwdriver. Nobody's taught her how to move forward. She's stuck. And I know that feeling. I know what it's like to be stuck in it and to have those memory tapes play over and over, and they will paralyze you. And I'm living proof. I know what I'm talking about. Your past can really mess you up depending on where you came from. So I want you to understand too that, we've got to make a conscious decision to change the way we are. You want to drag around the pain and you're not ready, I understand. But I want you to share in the comments below and talk to me and everybody in the community. What were you taught about grieving? Were you given those cakes and cookies? Were you told to go replace it? You had a breakup. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Go get another one. When you don't heal from what happened in the past relationships that you've had throughout your whole life, romantically or just in friendships, you're going to go right back to that same issue. You ever heard people say this is just a test, and you feel like you just keep going back to the same patterns? That's because you're not getting the right tools. You're not understanding knowledge is power. Okay. And when you're given the right tools and you're going to paint that room with a roller and a brush, and you're going to mask off the areas that you don't want that color on, when you're all said and done, you pick the drop cloths off and you rip the tape off, your room looks pretty good because you had the tools to do the right job. Grief and recovery can happen. You go into any addiction hall that offers support groups, AA meetings, you know what? They have steps. And when you follow the steps, you stay in recovery. You get off those steps, you fall right back into what they call relapse. You got to start all over again. And I'm telling you, I worked long and hard on my recovery, and I work it to this day. I buried probably 17 people, family and friends, in 2021. You think I wasn't taking some time off from trying to help somebody else until I knew I had my heart right? Because I'm telling you, if I don't keep my heart right, everything that's in my heart is going to come right out of my mouth. And as long as you hear understanding and compassion, love, those kind of things coming out of my mouth, my heart's clean. The minute you hear me or anybody, start paying attention to this. You'll hear somebody and you know what's in their heart, because out of the mouth, the heart speaks, and you'll know they got bitterness and unforgiveness, anger, wrath, you name it, and you can't help it. It comes out of your mouth every time. So, again, I want you to think about, just share. What do you know? And don't be afraid. I want you to share. What do you know about grieving? What do you know that is working for you? What's helping you? What do you do temporarily to stop the pain? Do you sleep? Grab a glass of wine? What are you doing here? There's no shame in answering honestly. We're not judging. We're not comparing losses. Y'all know the rules. I've told you. We're not here for that. But let yourself be transparent and let yourself be honest. And let's look at what needs to change. Okay? All right. So when you finish this video and you've participated and you shared, I want you to click the button to show complete, move to the next video. The next video we're going to talk about is the old way versus the new way. And we're going to learn a lot more about how to take care of this little thing right here called the heart. Okay. So, no, I love you. And please share, because we're not going to make it as a community if we don't start sharing. So, I love you, and I'll talk to you later. And keep coming back, because we are just getting started, folks. We're just getting started. All right. Talk soon.